Welcome to Leadership, the Secret Sauce, the podcast where we talk to extraordinary coaches and leaders to dive into the realms of leadership and coaching. We're your hosts, Dave Lipsky and Matt Dodson. So let's jump in with another guest and find out their answer to the question, what is your secret sauce? Welcome back to Leadership, the Secret Sauce. And before we begin, a quick shout out to our sponsor, Character Matters Coaching and Consulting, where they believe that your character is the compass guiding you through life's journey. Whether you're facing personal or professional challenges, they are dedicated to helping you discover and strengthen the core values that define who you are. Dave, who do we have on the podcast today?
I am excited to welcome Ben, and I'm going to start off with a quick energy check-in. We're going to talk a little more about Ben, go through a little more of his background and share what his secret sauce of coaching is. But just on a scale from 1 to 10, Ben, 1 being low, 10 being high, what energy level are you at today?
I would say I'm about a 8.75.
Ooh, I like the decimals.
Oh, yes. A man after my
I like
own
the
heart.
decimals.
Thank you so much.
And what would move you from an 8.75 to a 9.23?
That's easy, right? It's just this conversation, like it's already been notched up just from the energy that you guys are bringing. Just the 5 minutes we've had before we hit record has kind of moved me up a bit, and I think I'll probably be pretty close to a 10 by the time we're done. So
awesome. We're working our best. Matt, what energy level are you at?
Yeah, I started out at a 9.5.
This morning?
I've been exercising like first thing in the morning, and it's really changed my attitude a lot. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's by the time you're done, it just, yeah. So I'm at a 9.5 already, 1 cup of coffee in.
I like it. I am Matt incented me to bring back my morning exercise routine, and then I heard this word called high performance well-being. So I got up this morning at 6 and I did the Stairmaster and walked the dog. So I'm coming in.
Way to go.
I think
Wow.
I'm coming in. I'm gonna about an 8.5. The conversation, I rose from the time we got on the call, so from a 7 to 8.5, just meeting Ben and talking. Ben, when was the last trip you had?
On a plane.
On a plane.
Last trip on a plane was round about Easter, when we did our very first family ski holiday, which was very cool. Yeah, Italian Alps resort, really high up, which meant we could ski late in the year, and the mountains in the Alps is my absolute happy place. So it was a really, really nice vacation.
I like it. I'm going to ask a question, and then I'm going to ask you what about the mountains make you happy. The person next to you on the airplane turns to you and says, "Oh, hi Ben. What do you do? How do you describe it?"
I always struggle with that question, right? Because you kind of, sometimes you feel like, maybe it's when you run your own business, you feel like you should have a really cool answer to it. But like, if you go practical, what do? I do training, I do coaching, I speak on stage. But I guess part of what I do is more like why I do it. Like, starting my career in the military, I'm really grateful, and it definitely shaped my view of leadership and what a leader's job is, really. And it, like, for me, it's the reason I do what I do is to try and create a world. And I know that I'll never achieve this, right? But trying to create a world where everyone can go to work each day feeling absolutely sort of inspired, energized to give their best, and as importantly, go home to their loved ones at the end of each day feeling recognized for what it is they've done and appreciated as a human being. Because I mean, that's what we forget, right? And this is why I was so fortunate to learn this in the military. But every single person a leader leads is the most important person in the world to somebody else. It's someone's mum, dad, husband, wife, partner, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, whatever, best friend. And like, what leaders and managers do at work, it doesn't just affect that person Monday to Friday, 9 till 5, or whatever hours you work, right? It has a impact on them when they go home, and that spills over onto their to their loved ones. So long-winded answer to a short question, but yeah. By which point the person's either next to me is really engaged or they're falling asleep. One of the two.
Oh, Ben. Yeah. You know what? This just brings me, I
That's
just want to
fabulous.
break in. I think the most humbling thing about like about being a leader is that you are the person that person about whom that person goes home and tells about their day. So it's either wonderful or it's,
Yeah.
Whatever the complaint or whinging about whatever it is. And I think that's oftentimes missed. Oh, you know what? Like, look, here's my supervisor skills or whatever it happens to be. But that impact on
Yeah.
the family, how that person treats
Yeah.
their kids, their family, how they feel, whether they're just absolutely, smashed on the way home or whatever it is. Yeah.
There was two things drove it home for me. One
Mm,
was like a year out of training at Sandhurst, which is the UK's equivalent of West Point. Like a year out of Sandhurst, I was in Iraq in 2003, leading 30 soldiers across the border with the US Marines, actually. And I think any leader in the military wants to deploy on some sort of operation because it's what you join the forces to do, and you want to bring all of your soldiers home safely. So like that brought it home to me. And then my
mm,
second job in the
yeah.
military was at a training regiment. It was called junior entry. So we took in the youngest recruits into the British Army at 16 and a half, nearly 17, and did a longer training course with them. And whenever we brought a new intake in, like 100 odd young people, as the second in command of the training company, you're there sort of mingling and talking to all the parents and then trying to get them gone as quickly as possible so you can get on. But the amount of, it was mostly mums who would come up to me, like stare right into my eyes, like they're looking into my soul to work out like if they can trust me. And they're basically saying, look after my son or daughter. And you can just see and feel the
Mm,
love and concern in them. And like, if you want to ever understand what a leader's job is, like go and see a parent when they drop their kids off at army training, and you realize how
mm,
everyone we lead is the most important person in someone's life. Like, it still gives me shivers now just saying that story
mm,
to you guys. You're like, that
yeah.
just
Yeah.
if more leaders understood just a little bit of that, I think work and business
Mm,
would be better and people would be happier.
yeah. Mm, yeah. It's like a stewardship or a custodian, or it's not top down. Anyway,
Yeah.
so Ben, maybe you've thought about
Yeah.
this, but what is your secret sauce? Um,
Do you know what? I've thought about it a lot this week, and it's such a brilliant question. Such a brilliant question. And where I got to it, I was wrestling, going, "No, is it that? Is it this?" And then I realised a sauce isn't one ingredient, right? A sauce is a mixture of ingredients, so it's not one thing. So I've got a blend. So I think one of the, and I've never said this out loud. Actually, no, I said it out loud once to my office buddy this morning. I've certainly never said it to thousands of people listening to a podcast before. Um, a big ingredient in my secret sauce is a large dose of insecurity. Like, I used to think I didn't
mm,
care about what people think. On the one hand, I I don't now because I'm the most comfortable in my own skin, understanding my introversion and what I need to do and what makes me happy, and being my own person rather than what society says you should be. But on the other hand, I'm quite insecure about what other people think of my work and how I show up and what I do. So that really drives me to care and to prepare and do my best. So
mm,
um, there's a big part of my secret sauce is insecurity. Like the second bit, as I said, is caring. Like I often find or feel
mm,
as though I care more about my clients and their objectives and them being at their best than they do. So like I care deeply. And certainly that made me successful, I think, as a leader in the
mm,
military. Like I cared a lot about my soldiers and I cared about doing a good job. Um, third ingredient in my secret sauce is an ingredient that's so small in there, it's almost missing, which is actually self-confidence. Right? Despite kind of everything I've done in the military, what I do now, I'm not a naturally confident person. Like self-confidence is probably lower for me. But that's tempered by the fourth ingredient, which is a massive dose of courage. Like I'm one of these people who I can feel really insecure, but I'll go and present anyway. Like networking's the worst thing in the world to me, but I'll go and do it. Like I'm very good at the cliche, feeling the fear and doing it anyway. So that kind of offsets. And the fifth ingredient, which I guess is very much linked to the insecurity piece, I have quite a strong away from motivation. So I'm never that clear about what it is that I want or what I'm trying to achieve, but I'm always very clear about what I don't want. Like not wanting to disappoint people, not wanting to let people down, not wanting to make a bad job, not wanting to give a good account of myself. So I think, and I genuinely love those questions because it really, over the course of this past week, it really got me to like deeply reflect. So yeah, so thank you for the question.
You know what? Maybe you just if you just think back at a time in your life where sort of that sort of idea, whether it's the self-confidence or the insecurity or the deep caring, like where did you notice that? Was that first, part of your story of really being young, knowing that you wanted to be in the military? Was it that part, or was it another point in time on deployment or whatever?
I think it is one that has just gradually become clearer and clearer. It was almost like a light that started off like a real faint flicker and has just like become brighter and brighter and more intense. Right? I think I probably always knew it was there. And it's a bit like, I think I always knew, linked to the secret sauce, like what I did that was working. Did I always know why or where it was coming from in terms of the insecurity? Like, no. And I think the point where I really started to understand it was, or realize it, was about 2.5 years ago as a result of some counseling and therapy I was doing after like a period of quite a lot of sort of grief and loss and challenge. And just the counselor just kept saying things to me like, "You're really tough on yourself, aren't you, Ben? Or when do you stop and give yourself a pat on the back?" And I was like, "Rarely,
Never. Yeah. Yeah.
never, maybe, never." Yeah,
Haven't so far. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
If you,
Yeah.
if like, you ever hear the martini secret? It's a bartending trick, my friend. So my friend taught me, he's a
No,
bartender, and he said you put the gin or vodka, and you fake the vermouth, like you make believe you're pouring the vermouth, and then people said it's the cleanest, best
okay.
martini I've ever had. So so for you, like if you were to leave out one of those ingredients, I love your honesty and you talking about those. But when does the sauce taste better? Like what do you leave out of that ingredient and you're better as a coach?
Um, it's probably the first one, like the insecurity, even though it's almost the. Oh, I don't know. That's really really tough. I was going to say, is it the insecurity? Because when I like when one totally gets out of their own way and just shows up, that's really really powerful. So I'm going to cheat on your question. I think I'll keep the insecurity in the build
Good.
up or preparation to one-to-one coaching, group coaching, or facilitating a
Mm.
session. But then when I'm in it,
Yeah.
just being in the moment. So I'd leave it out in the moment.
It feels like it's grounding. So when you're
Mm.
when you're sitting across from
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
and you're coaching them, How does somebody experience this mix of ingredients?
I think people experience it as a feeling. This is sort of some of the feedback I receive, actually. I think it's a feeling of safety and ease, like being able to talk quite freely and being at the same time being comfortable to be challenged and pushed maybe just harder than is naturally comfortable for them. But yeah, people say they find it very easy or surprising how much they sort of open up or say kind of when they're working with me, I think. And I think that's because
Mm.
certainly over the last 5 years I've got to a place where I am much more tuned in to my own sort of emotional intelligence, and will speak much more openly about some of the challenges that I've had. And that's a great parallel with leadership, right? I think when probably the last 5 to 10 years, there's been a lot spoken about in terms of the leadership management press about vulnerability. And I sometimes see articles or talk to leaders go, why should I be vulnerable, Ben? Like that's not what people want. That's not what leadership is about. And
Mm.
it's quite an abstract concept to grasp. But being vulnerable, just I think to me means at times when the time's right, just giving a bit more of yourself and showing a bit more of who you really are, and dropping the mask. And I think when you do that, it opens up and creates like a different space, different conversations where, do you know what, it's okay to drop my guard a little bit here. I don't need to try and pretend I'm this all-knowing, all-conquering person. I can just be a little bit more real.
Ben, I wanted to ask, so um, since you've been in the corporate world as well, like how was that transition from corporate world to being in your own sort of business? Like how did that happen? Because some of our listeners, they may work in a corporate environment, and a lot of the questions are, well, how do I know it's time to leave and go out on my own? How did you know? Like
Mm.
another, like you're like, okay, it's time. Was it like a single contract? Was it like a redundancy thing? Or you just like, you know what? Is it similar like our mutual friend, Nick, who just was like, I'm doing this,
Yeah.
and just you tell us what happened.
Yeah, I think actually my story is very similar to our mutual friend Nick's, actually, in so much as the thing that really drove me to make the leap and start working for myself 13 years ago partly comes down to the secret sauce, which I'll come back to in a second. But really, it was a values driven thing, and I couldn't have articulated it this way at the time, but it was very much a values thing. So I'd left the British Army. I'd done 5 years in a very entrepreneurial sort of profit-making youth development company, which was amazing. It had a great culture. There was a number of ex-military people there. It just fitted me perfectly, and it was the best possible landing I could have had after leaving the military. I was there until we got acquired by kind of Europe's biggest travel company, and then the leadership team, we all gradually got made redundant. So then I went to work for Tesco, which is like UK's kind of biggest retailer. And I was so excited because me and the MD at the previous company had always looked at what Tesco had done with their leadership academy, and we'd copied like their version of the balanced scorecard. So it's a bit like when they say never meet your heroes, right? And then I went and worked them like, oh man, this isn't what I've read about. Like this sucks. Um, but
No discussing Dave's and my history of
is it
corporate
similar?
life. Yes, go ahead, please.
But to be fair as well, I joined that organization probably in like the most difficult period of its existence. It had gone from
Mm.
Terry Leahy, like the well-known CEO who was perceived as being amazing, and somebody else took it over in a very difficult phase. But to cut a long story short, very quickly I started to realize that at Tesco, in my view, I was seeing lots of people doing leadership as opposed to being leaders. So it was all, here's a 4-step model for influencing people. Here's a 5-step process for doing this, 6 steps for this. And it was all about tools, checklists, processes. And I just thought, like, this just isn't leadership for me. And then the culture that was publicized on the posters on the wall was very different to the actual culture at the time. And it just got to the point where I can't do this anymore. And I was asked to just go and sit and observe a sort of pilot leadership program. And this guy come in to run it. And I kind of loved him. I loved his style and approach. Started following him on social media. And he said he was looking for another partner to join his business. So I joined. And I went home to my wife. I remember it really, really clearly. I went home and said, do you know what? I think I'm done at Tesco. I'm gonna have my notice in. And by the way, I think I'm going to start working for myself, which is quite a big bombshell to drop on my wife just over that evening's chili con carne or whatever we were eating. Literally, her immediate response, which could have been a lot of other things, was at last. At last, said, do you not realize how miserable you've been?
Nice.
And I didn't until I suddenly like made that decision. And then I talk about this quite a lot with groups. I wasn't totally clear back then on sort of what my core values are and what they actually meant. But thinking about it now, my core values were totally at odds and like clashing with the lived culture at Tesco. And I think now the clarity I have about what's really important to me in work and life holistically, I don't think I would have even gone and worked there. Or if I did, I probably would have left at my 3-month probation and said, do you know what, this isn't the right place for me. So again, long answer to a short.
No, it's really, really good
question, but it was very much a values thing. This doesn't fit me, and it doesn't fit my beliefs about what it's interesting is when there to do.
When you talk to leaders about the alignment of their values to how they lead, like what shows up for you? What comes up for you?
For what comes up for me?
Yeah, when you go as you're coaching leaders, and you're looking for that alignment between, you experienced your values didn't fit the place, right, you were in, and you chose to change. When you're talking to leaders, what do you look for? What shows up like with that alignment? How do you get to that?
What often shows up is straight away people go, so hang on, Ben, when you're talking values, do you mean personal or work? I'm like, both. Like there's no difference, right? What you care about is what you care about is what you care about.
Yes.
So yes is the answer, but both are really important. So that shows up. It's hard. Some people that I'm coaching might have spent a bit of time thinking about their values. Like few have, and it's quite intangible, right? Like it's easy to sit and think about strategy or changing the bottom line, but like trying to sit and think like what's really important to me, what do I really care about, that's hard, takes some deep thinking and takes time. And then the other thing that comes up that I try and work with people I'm coaching on this is there's two things. So it's not like, if you, those that are kind of watching this, if you imagine like hold your two hands in front of you, and your 4 fingers and thumbs are your values on one hand, and the ones on the other are the values of the organization. It's not as if you're trying to get them to perfectly join, like all of your fingers join. Like if you've got like overlap where 2 or 3 kind of match, then that probably works. You're probably going to be happy in that organization. If they're all smashing against each other, that's probably not going to work. But then also what's really key and is my main thing with values is, let's not just try and play sort of values bingo where we're trying to match the words, right? So if I say integrity is important to me, well, great, you could call integrity whatever you want. You could call it purple, blue, sponge. It doesn't matter what label you put on it, but what does integrity actually mean for you? Get to the point where you can articulate it in 2 or 3 bullet points. And then if you're trying to find alignment with an organization, with other colleagues, when you describe what integrity means to you, they might say honesty is important to me. But when you explore what honesty means to them, you suddenly go, oh, okay, you say honesty, I say integrity. Actually, we're aligned here. We care about the same sort of stuff. So it's not trying to have every value matching. It's not trying to match the values words. It's understanding what they really mean and finding a connection and trying to ensure you haven't got lots of complete clashes. I think if you can do those things, you're generally going to find yourself working in an organization where you can thrive and be at your best. If you don't, you're going to be sad, miserable, frustrated, and not perform. Which actually, if I think about me at Tesco, I didn't. I was probably performing 70% of what I can do because I didn't feel connected to the place.
Yeah. Ben, what do you want from a coach when you look for a coach for yourself?
Again, I said my secret sauce and a bit of an away from motivation. I can tell you what I want by thinking about a really bad coaching experience I had.
What do you not want from a coach? How's that question? Is that better? Is that easier?
One is someone who, so what I want truly listens and coaches without an agenda, right? Who truly listens to me and coaches based on what I'm saying rather than their agenda. A couple of years ago, I was going to join one of these sort of peer-to-peer networking groups here in the UK for like small business owners. And I couldn't, for the first 3 months, I couldn't join the session. So the guy that hosted it said, why don't we start with some one-to-one coaching for 3 months, then you can join. Like, great, because that was one of the reasons I was going to join this peer-to-peer network. Within 2 sessions, he had inadvertently coached me out of joining. And I went, do you know, thanks for the 2 sessions. It's not for me. It's because the business I'm building, it's me and it's a support team of kind of consultants, people who kind of do a few hours to a few days for me. And this guy kept picking me up for the fact that I would say me and my talking about the business. He kept saying, no, it's the business. You got to start talking about the business as you grow. I was like, yeah. And after the second session, I went, no. Like you don't get it. You're trying to coach me to your view of a business. I'm building I hate the term, but like a solopreneur business. And like he wasn't listening. As a coach, he was not listening to my background, my business, my aims. He was coaching to his agenda. So that's it for me. Like really, really listening. But that's what we all want in life, right? We all want to be listened to, seen and heard.
Yeah, I in learning to coach and getting clients and balancing, you get hired by an organization with an agenda. Then you go in and you're talking to the client and you're trying not to have an agenda. How do you reconcile those two?
I think it comes back to my secret sauce again, right? Because I care, and it is tricky, right? Because the organization is the one that's paying my invoice normally, but I'm coaching the individual. You guys, I'm sure, will be the same. Like, I think you can, to be effective as a coach, you have to work with the person that shows up or what the person is showing up with, right? So I had a session with somebody last week, and there's a number of objectives the managing director wants me to work on with them. It's a blend of sort of coaching and mentoring. The guy turned up particularly stressed, close to burnout, lots of things troubling him. I was like, well, let's talk about that then. Let's just coach to what you've showed up with rather than these three things that the kind of MD wants you to achieve. And do you know what? Actually, if we fix what's going on now, there's a fair chance the other stuff will just naturally get fixed anyway. So,
leading indicators, right? Stuff that right. Very well said.
Yeah, the pain. It's the pain. That's what I like. Like I like to really sort of tap into that because that seems to be where the energy is. Yeah. What?
it's
and
a wasted effort, right? If someone isn't in the mental headspace to work on X, you can keep pushing on that door, but you're not going to get anywhere. So you can either completely waste. I think that's how I reconcile it, actually, David. I could keep pushing on a closed door, trying to coach them on what the organization wants me to work on with them, but I know they're not in a headspace, and that's going to be an hour's wasted effort. So actually, why don't I just help them with what they're presenting with, and then that's going to be some value, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ben, what would be 3 resources you would recommend, and then maybe also if you could, this is my little add-on. You've written a few books as well, right? So, like, would you recommend those books, or maybe you could share with us like 3 things you would say, hey, look, these are really great ones, and these were sort of inspirations to me, so that I felt like, hey, I need to add this other piece.
In terms of
whatever it is, whatever topic, when anybody asks you, hey, Ben, I'm a reader, or I like to listen, or what would you recommend that I, read? What should I pick up while I'm being coached by you?
Yeah, cool. Maybe I'll come back and answer that in a second, but I'll kind of talk you through kind of what I initially thought when I knew you was going to ask me that question. So, and these might all be quite random. So the first one is a resource I'd recommend. I wrote down in my notes a nice journal and a pen. The process, I know it's become a bit of a cottage industry over the last years, like journaling and stuff, but probably, well, ever since I started my business, pretty much every morning I've done some journaling and planning. I think especially for anybody who is coaching, actually for leaders, full stop, the process of processing your thoughts and committing it to paper and writing it down and reflecting on what went well yesterday, how can I be better today, is really, really powerful. I think even more so doing that sort of in an analog fashion in an increasingly digital world. Although I've now gone halfway house and bought one of those remarkable tablets, so it feels like a pad and pen, but it's digital. So say notepad and pen was one. A brilliant resource I use loads is the StrengthScope psychometric tool, or Strengths Finder in the US. I think having spent years training to use lots of different tools, having completed many myself, I find StrengthScope really, really useful in terms of coaching and personal development. I think it has so much, it just opens up so many doors in terms of potential conversations you can have and how you can explore how you can be at your best. So I find that a really, really great resource. And the first one, especially for coaches, for the 3 of us, is massively controversial, right? The other resource I recommend is building your own ChatGPT to act as a coach to you. Like, I still tap in and use proper human coaches, but having invested some time in building kind of a coach for myself in one of the large language models is really, really useful for just testing my thinking. And it's not that I take what it gives me, but it just gets me thinking about different things that if I'm sitting at my desk by myself, I wouldn't necessarily come up with. Am I going to put myself out of a job with that? Who knows? But I find it really useful.
I had my 17-year-old Chloe. She's done some of our reviews. She told me last night that she uses ChatGPT as one of her free coaches. So I was like, "You've got one in house. Like, what? It's not the same, Dad. It's more affirming to me."
Yeah, and the last 5 conversations I had with you, Dad, wasn't me. It was, oh my God, you're the best daughter ever. Yeah,
Oh,
I've trained
yes.
my Chat GBT Coach Lipsky bot, and that's my morning commute conversation. Just to reflect, Ben,
Right.
I so appreciate your authenticity and you beginning with like who you are, and I so value that. And it reminds me of like each coach's journey to get comfortable with who they are, all of them, right? All parts, all pieces of them. The other thing you reminded me of, which I really appreciate, is the importance of meeting the client where they are, and that's what is going to help them the most, regardless of maybe what you were hired for or what you were hired to do. So thank you for your service, and that is my reflection. And Matt,
You know what? Yeah, this was like a shocker to me because I always thought about getting out of the way as a coach. But then you realize as you own your own business, whether you're a solopreneur or just starting out, like you realize that they're hiring you. Like, and that to me is like, okay, wait, how do I do that? And so when you brought that up, it just reminded me again that that trust is built with you as an individual. That's what that's what they're willing to pay for, is for that relationship with you. And it just it makes it a lot more stewardship, custodian oriented, and delicate.
They're also paying you, and they're also to help them achieve something, which I think is important. There's this whole conversation: are you a coach? Are you a mentor? Like, kind of what are you? Like, I'm both. Neither doesn't matter for me. I'll just move like freely up and down that spectrum again to be of service to the person I'm coaching. Like, I don't care what I do, but I have met some people who are very pure, and it's not right or wrong, it's just different people's choice, right? But I've met people who are very purist in that they're a coach. They will only ever ask questions, whereas for me, I don't care. I'll move between the two. I'll ask questions. If I've got some experience, I'll share it. If there's a tool that I think I know this is really going to help, I'm not going to sit on that because I'm a coach and I've got to ask questions so they arrive at this tool themselves. Like, I just want to help the person sitting in front of me.
Yeah. Ben, what's the best way people can get a hold of you if they wanted to reach out to you and connect?
Two, probably. LinkedIn is the social where I'm most active. So it's just Ben Morton Leadership on LinkedIn, or equally just ping me an email kind of directly. It's just ben@ben-morton.com. Always happy to chat to people. So yeah, drop us a line. I reply myself as well. It's not AI.
That we know of. Yeah. Just a quick shout out to our sponsor. Are you feeling stuck or overwhelmed? Character Matters Coaching and Consulting provides leadership coaching and consulting to empower you to overcome obstacles and reach your full potential. Visit charactermatterscoaching.com to learn more about their transformative coaching and how to get connected to Matt for your organization. Ben, it has been such a pleasure. I really appreciate your authenticity. And if Matt ever invites me to go to England, we're coming to visit and deliver your mug directly.
Amazing. And I think you've probably both got me to a 9.75.
Oh, man. Victory.
Bear in mind, it's a Friday afternoon in the UK. That's pretty good going.
Yeah. All right. Until next time, have a great day.
Thanks for listening. If you love this podcast, please share it with another coach or leader. Make sure you go to the show notes to get all the resources from today's episode.